A new Bloomberg report throws a little dirt on Valve's Steam and its co-founder Gabe Newell, the unquestioned lord and savior of PC gaming by many. From harsh language to anti-competitive practices, could it be that Valve is, in fact, a corporation after all? Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to say that Valve is a corporation, and we've been saying that for quite some time.
They've certainly been making corpo money, that's for sure, yeah. But the thing is, we've all benefited from that, and kind of like I saw whenever we were reporting on their gambling practices, if anyone's ever made a dime off of a Steam trading card, they're cool with all of it. And that tends to be the case with most Valve customers. Yeah, if I got cheap games that one time, they can do no wrong. But maybe they've been doing some wrong.
Yeah, so here's what's going on. Valve is currently facing a class action lawsuit on behalf of game devs and customers that alleges the company's Steam distribution service, we know it, we love it, but that it's operating an illegal monopoly. Uh-oh.
Oh boy. While this isn't quite the treasure trove of discovery we saw out of the Microsoft case, the report from Austin Carr and Cecilia D'Anastasio still offers insight into the unusually opaque company that is Valve.
Yeah, that's what I like about any of these times. We get just a drip of info out of how Valve actually operates because, yeah, they've been very mysterious, which kind of leans into their mystique a little bit. But yeah, for starters, we got an anecdote about everyone's gamer daddy, Gabe Newell, playing a little hardball.
Yeah, it characterizes him as an uninvolved executive spending most of his time on his yacht at sea with his 3 cats or playing Dota 2 at the office. But boys, isn't that really the dream? Like, I'm with Gabe on this.
100%, he's earned it. Let him fiddle with his knife collection.
But occasionally Newell will intervene directly when it comes to policy decisions, such as when Valve General Counsel Carl Quackenbush pushed for more moderation during a conversation concerning pornographic content on Steam, and this allegedly led Newell to respond, quote, "What the fuck do I pay you for if that's your opinion?"
Right? Yeah, you keep lawyers on hand to make it so you can do things legally, not to just tell you not to do them. Yeah, you're telling me to tell you not to do your job. That's really frustrating. But still, despite his firm words, this is still an instance of good guy Newell standing up for the common gamer and defending porn on Steam. We all love that. So yeah, where does it turn dark? Where does it turn tragic?
Yeah, because talking about anime boobs is a beautiful thing, not a dark thing. But unfortunately, the rest of the Bloomberg article doesn't describe such consumer-friendly behavior. In fact, the lawsuit originated with such an event. Humble Bundle founder David Rosen explained in a 2021 post that Valve threatened to delist his game Overgrowth from Steam if he allowed it to be sold for a lower price anywhere else. Boo.
Wow, all right. Rosen said, quote, "I believe that most developers have little or no choice but to sell on Steam and do as they're told by Valve."
Yeah, that's not the only instance of this happening either, and it's not only to small developers, which is what I kind of thought it might be. Yeah, Bloomberg also reports that Valve threatened to completely delist Ubisoft's Rainbow Six Siege from Steam when they discovered Ubisoft was selling a $15 starter pack on its own Uplay store.
Yeah, the emails allegedly threatened to yank the game, quote, by end of day tomorrow. This kind of sounds like Amazon, where you kind of have to, if you're a seller, you kind of have to play by their rules, otherwise, tough luck.
Absolutely, Brian. Another incident in 2017 had Valve's Cassidy Gerber tell Warner Brothers executives that Valve had deleted all pre-orders for the studio's Middle-earth Shadow of War since the price was, quote, significantly higher than what was available at other retailers for the same version of the game.
That's a big move. Like just tossing money out, saying we don't want it? Reportedly within hours, Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment president David Haddad was trying to get Gerber on the horn to fix the situation. So that email shot right up the executive chain and prompted an immediate response.
Yeah, and what complicates this is Valve's very unusual structure. It's notoriously anti-corporate with a flat structure and no explicit job titles or hierarchy. While that definitely contributes to Valve's mystique, as Lawrence was saying, it also makes it astoundingly difficult to, assign accountability for stuff.
Apparently, Gerber was asked specifically about this price parity policy in a deposition, to which Gerber insisted that the very concept of a policy is foreign at a place like Valve. She said, quote, "I don't really know what you mean by policy. In general, I don't feel like we have a lot of policies. That sounds kind of bureaucratic to me."
God. Sure, whatever. Yeah, in response, the interrogating lawyer read Gerber's response to a developer asking about this practice. in which she said, quote, Steam's policy has always been to require material parity for things we sell on the Steam store. Gerber said she didn't remember saying that. Whoops. So, yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, this is an interesting situation. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like Steam using the leverage that they have in the market that they've earned to prevent people from selling the same goods cheaper anywhere else. That's uncomfortable leverage. But, well, there's another angle to it, too, because I feel like it also disproportionately hurts the little guy. Bigger companies have more leverage. And also bigger companies get the benefit of Steam's kind of stair-stepping commission. They don't take a flat 30 on everything now. I think if you hit $1 million in revenue, it starts stepping down. So they did that to keep their big dollar clients, but everyone else is still stuck with the 30% and also can't afford not to sell on Steam, which normally that'd be fine. Like if Steam clearly earned their audience, they made all the right decisions and in some cases did so by not making decisions. And I think they've guided Steam to a pretty good spot. I have my own particular hangups with it, but it's a lot better than it was 5 years ago, at least when it had no competition at all. But yeah, I want to say like that's a monopoly, right? But they're not. All they're saying is we just won't stock your game. But if their market is so big, then they're kind of enforcing it that way. Yeah, I don't know. This is a weird one. I think it's scummy, but is it illegal? Does it fit the definition of a monopoly?
This is something that I've heard actually directly from smaller developers, just like that Humble Bundle developer earlier, which was like, you have to list on Steam. You don't have a choice. If you don't list on Steam, there is no game. You don't have a place to sell. You can't go to the Epic's game store unless they give you whatever, $10 million to put up your tiny little indie game, which they're never going to do anymore. They might have done that 5 years ago. They're not going to do it now. And it's the same with lots of other stores too. And I'm not saying that we need to feel bad for them or whatever. It's just the fact of the matter. And what Lawrence said, I think, is correct. I don't necessarily think it is a monopoly. It is anti-competitive practices to force other people to list on Steam. That is anti-competitive. Being a monopoly, not necessarily. And it is scummy. And not something that I don't know that maybe the entire internet ever expected of Valve. Because I think we just assume, right, Valve does nothing, they win. That's usually the thing that everybody says. Valve does nothing, they win. When in reality, the people that are talking to Warner Brothers executives and lots of other places like, all right, well, fuck you, we'll just take down the game. And that is not doing nothing. That is 100% making sure that they have to do what Valve says. And again, they're a company, they got to survive, whatever. I'm not saying any of this is bad or good. It's just more of a fact. And you get to decide whether or not that is scummy. And I don't think they're going to lose any customers because of this. I think it's just going to be a bunch of people being like, well, shrug, Valve's the best, Steam's the best. So, well, that we got to do what they say. But we've talked about this, and I'll talk about this again on the show. In whatever future Gabe has to leave, or he's no longer the president, and whatever, they start doing, the top-down structure versus the flat structure at Valve, someone's going to come in charge there and then ruin it. Absolutely just wreck the store. It hasn't happened yet. And we don't want to get into that slippery slope. We would like for Valve to be like sort of welcome competition, like the Epic Game Store and Good Old Game Store and things like that. And this doesn't sound like they're doing that.
Yeah, I think number one, because Gabe is still around and he's this legendary figure, and games are still relatively young, so we still have a lot of the OGs still around. And I think that's given Valve this great reputation and this mystique, like y'all were saying. But I also feel like because they're private, people can kind of project whatever they want onto Valve as like a personality, like, well, they're for the gamers, they're for us, they're not for anybody else. But if you can get a Warner Brothers executive to come begging within hours, like, maybe you're not a monopoly, but you are the 800-pound gorilla in the, like, you're basically Amazon or Walmart or something like that. But I mean, I feel like to the lay gamer, they are the video game store. And, I always think more competition's better. I have my issues with Epic Games and other things, but I think like delisting and kind of throwing your weight around. It's pretty clear that's what they're doing behind the scenes. So to me, it like punctures the bubble a little bit. But you know, I don't think this will track with the average gamer, like you said. I think this is for guys like us who followed this shit closely. But it is a little demoralizing. Like, oh man, I just thought y'all were like making Portal and Half-Life and selling games. And I don't. It's just kind of a bummer. Capitalism fucking ruins everything. That's what I'm saying.
It ruins everything, but it also allowed this to happen in the first place. You know,
True, yes,
capitalism
you're right.
gave birth to Valve, a market disruptor that built a better mousetrap, and now we're all trapped by the better mousetrap. So it's really fascinating to really track it all, because Valve was a godsend because the traditional model of games distribution sucked ass. If you had to make a physical product, put it on a boat, get it in stores, those stores took their cut. Everyone took a cut along the way. So the developer portion of things actually went up when everything went to Valve, which is kind of why games were able to kind of stay the same price for decades and decades. They didn't really match parity because the revenue share going to the developer was higher. I know a lot of people will say like, well, where's our benefit for the margin on digital games being so much lower than physical? The bad part is we've been enjoying that all along. We've been part of this discount, but it's been silent. No one ever said, this game doesn't cost $120. Sorry, Australia, but in the rest of the world, it doesn't cost $120 because of digital. Now that we've enjoyed that ecosystem for long, now people are starting to question the 30%. And Valve, which was people's savior when we pivoted to this model, is now becoming the status quo. And I realized when y'all were talking about this, I think the dividing line between like scummy and evil is that, well, evil is a strong word, but maybe illegal, is that Valve is using their leverage to maintain prices, whereas a clearly illegal monopoly would be using that leverage to increase prices. So they're not doing that yet, but Bruce, like you said, they have the mechanism, they clearly have the leverage, and they could, and that's a little closer, still not quite, but a little closer to what PlayStation's being accused of doing. That they have a digital monopoly, and now they have consoles that are digital only, and they control all of those prices. So they can make sure that prices are higher digitally than they are physically. So the problem is that consumers are aware of that, and they're still choosing to buy digital games because of the convenience or the ecosystem, or because they're just trained to. So that's when it gets sticky. That's when it gets really, really sticky. Because when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking the free market got Valve to where they are. The free market ought to be the remedy here. And in some cases it is. You have things like Epic coming in and throwing money and offering better terms and trying to solicit away developers and offer proper competition. But the consumer side of it is the sticking point. There's such loyalty built up for Valve that I don't know what they would need to do through Steam sales and like being consumer friendly. Interestingly, like jacking up the price of the Steam Deck a very significant amount kind of ruffled some feathers. So if they start clearly hitting people in their wallets, but if they have the leverage to maintain price parity, that won't happen, or at least the perception of it won't happen. So yeah, we're in a really weird spot here where decades of momentum, I think, has given Valve the runway they need. They would have to like severely overcharge people for like 5 years running, I think. And then attitudes might change. So yeah, they've got a lot of momentum right now. I kind of hope the lawsuits like this check them a little bit and maybe help them more overtly welcome some competition. I would like to see that, especially with the potential expansion of gaming devices we're about to get, like console PCs, Xbox Helix, all the RTX Spark, leading supposedly to all these mini PCs that are just going to be mega powerful. I would like to see like true competition in the digital economy on PC when that happens. Otherwise, Steam is just going to own everything, which there are worse outcomes, I'll be honest. But yeah, 20 years from now, it could get very, very bad.
I think if you're watching Inside Games, you probably know that we really, all three of us especially, really like competition, because it truly is that is what the free market is. Now I know whatever we can argue whether or not we're actually operating in a free market with capitalism, blah blah blah. Regardless, you want competition. You really do. You don't want all your eggs in one basket. And this is something that I think we have been saying again about Valve and about Sony recently. Sony's been nickel and diming for like the last 3-4 years, especially a lot. And there's actually even a report that talks about how Sony's first-party games are going down in sales, probably because of that. And so if, like Lawrence said, if Valve does that for the next 5 years, all of a sudden we're going to find ourselves in a really terrible spot where we're all paying $100 and all the games are only on Steam. So as much as you hate Epic and as much as you love Gabe, we don't want to be in that situation. We really don't. We really want more competition. So I would say don't be so quick to judge Epic, Good Old Games, whatever else. Maybe branch out a little bit.
Yeah, it's always better. Like, and the console makers too, like Nintendo and Sony have each had eras where they were on top and they did kind of scummy stuff or tried to overcharge. And I think Valve has a lot of goodwill built up because for those of us old enough to remember pre-Valve, it was like games are always this much. And no indie games or very few. And I think Valve just opened it up. Like Stardew Valley wouldn't exist without Valve. Mina the Hollower wouldn't exist without Valve. So, you know, and the great sales and all that stuff's great. But you do need competition because if it's all in one hand, like you said, Bruce, once Gabe leaves, you might not like the replacement. And then it's like, oh, and now they own the Amazon of games and too bad.
Arrowing stuff. I still think the future is brighter than not, though. But, you know, we can aim for the best possible version, which is, I think, as many vibrant stores all competing for your dollar. Speaking of, thank you for watching Inside Games. We know there's a lot of videos competing for your eyeballs, so we're very grateful to be in front of them right now. We do have a Patreon where we post all of our content because you just got it these days. It's how it goes. But all of our stuff is there for free. And bonus content. I dig out a meme every day to attach to our episodes. Sometimes they're a little spicy. Patreon actually took down one of our posts because it was too sexual. I guess a dog chilling out with a beer after work has an aura, but I wouldn't have expected that. So weird folks in the moderation department at Patreon, but check it out. Speaking of, we'd like to shout out some of our patrons here that support the show. Thank you very much. Humble High Horse, Brian Cosner, Kyle Heaton, Monkey Butlers, and Nick Calderon. We appreciate your support. One day we'll be the Steam's Valve of gaming news. And on that day, we can't wait to stifle the competition terribly and send, we'll send goons to all of our competitors' houses and bang on their doors. That'll be fun. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Please enjoy this humble era of Inside Games while it lasts, and we'll see you next time.